Fun fact, AWS Lambda was the first cloud service I have ever used. This was probably towards the end of 2016 when my interest in cloud computing had just begun. I remember watching something like a 3-hour course and had no idea what was going on. And I haven't used Lambda since then, and not because I don't like it or anything like that, I just haven't had the need. All of my serverless experience is with Azure Functions, and the way I learned functions was sort of like if you push someone who doesn't know how to swim into the deep end of a pool. Don't ever do that, but I don't regret learning functions this way. But yeah, don't ever do that pool thing. With that being said, hi, I'm GPS. Welcome to a new video and welcome to a new background. Back in my sysadmin role, my first task was to automate a process that they had been doing manually. It consisted of a spreadsheet that was sent via an email by someone weekly and parsing some data from that spreadsheet and saving it to a file and then inserting that new data from the new file to a SQL database. Current day Gwen, 2021 Gwen, could probably get this done in like a day or something. But back then, I was, had very little confidence in my skills because I was new. I didn't have much programming experience. I didn't have much cloud experience. I was fresh on the job. And I needed something that I could own end to end, like use some sort of service or some sort of technology that I could own end to end so I didn't have to wait on others to make progress. And I had asked my boss, I was like, hey, any idea how I could approach this? And he said that he had heard something about Azure Functions on a podcast that he had listened to that week or something. And then I kind of just, went on Google and read a lot of documentation, and it took me about a month to piece everything together. It ended up being something like it was an Azure Logic app listening to the email inbox, and when there was a match for the email sender and the subject title, it would grab the attachment, save it to a blob container, and then an Azure function with a blob trigger would get triggered because it's listening to that specific container. Then it would parse the data from the file, save it to a new file, and then which would be in a new blob container. And that's pretty much it. Then I had a PowerShell script that would run every day and grab the new file that was generated by the function and insert it into a SQL database. I don't ever remember being more frustrated in my career than working on this project. However, it's because of this one project that I was able to continue using functions and continue learning functions to this day for all of my solutions, really. I eventually built something that saved the company like 20 hours of work time in the week. And obviously that saved them a lot of money. I got a promotion because of that, a raise. I started this channel because of Azure Functions. I've participated in Microsoft events because of my knowledge in functions. What else has happened? Oh, Azure MVP. A lot of that is because of the stuff I've done with functions. Yeah, and so on. So very grateful for this one scenario that kind of forced me. This was the first task that I automated, I guess the first solution that I made. It was simple, but it was enough for me to be like, yeah, I can actually build full things because of this tech, right? It's not that you can't do it with more of like traditional methods. It's just like when you're brand new, having something that you can just straight up you can create a function right in the portal. You have like a code editor and everything right there. And though it's a simple HTTP trigger, it's still a full working function, right? But yeah, let's talk about the how. All right, so back when I was working on this, there wasn't a lot of like tutorials or content in general to learn functions. So I pretty much relied on Microsoft documentation, which is pretty solid. And there's one YouTube channel that I am so grateful. I thank y'all so much. They don't make videos anymore. Like they don't upload videos. I don't think they've uploaded for the past 3 years, but it's called Function Junction. I'm going to link it down below. They have videos on the majority of the bindings. It might be a little dated now, of course, but the great thing about this channel was they had not only like tutorials, but the tutorials would have context and examples or like scenarios, like, hey, if you wanted to do this, you could do it in this way. And if you wanted to like connect bindings, which like the concept of connecting bindings to me was like having an input binding for something, an output binding, having a different trigger, those kind of things was just like so foreign to me. I couldn't understand it until I actually saw real examples. And it was because of this YouTube channel that things started to click and I could grab what they were doing and adapt it to my scenario. And eventually it motivated me to start my own channel because I was like, this channel helped me so much. and so many good things have happened to me because, you know, I figured this thing out, and it's because of like knowledge that they have been sharing, and that motivated me to start my own channel. Yeah, so big shout out to that channel. I'll link it below. But yeah, it was pretty much just YouTube, that YouTube channel, and then documentation, and just pieced everything together. Yeah, it worked out. In conclusion, I do remember giving a showcase on this solution that I made, like the first one, and this was early on in still as sysadmin, so in that time of my career, and you know, I wasn't that confident. I didn't speak the way, I wasn't as like, you know, confident when I spoke like how I speak now. You know, because I was new. You know, I was giving a showcase in front of like all these senior engineers, and I explained like my little rinky-dink solution. And I remember one of the senior engineers saying something like, "Oh yeah, I guess this like serverless thing is great for like smaller things, but like for real production solution, I don't really think it like works out." And I just sat there, like I listened to it. My heart kind of broke, but I'm definitely glad I didn't give up, because I look back at that like statement now, and I'm like, yeah, you're totally wrong. Because if you look at the companies and the solutions that run based on you know, serverless technology, a lot of those are mass production solutions. Like A-Cloud Guru, a lot of our you know, platform runs on it. Lambda, not functions, but serverless. So yeah, I'm not gonna really dive into the benefits in terms of like the technical aspect, because there are many other you know, blog posts and videos that explain that much better than I can do. But all I can say is, as a new person in tech with little experience, little confidence, and very little like, you know, cloud and coding experience, it was exactly what I ended up needing, and it really catapulted my career into what it is today, and for that I'm extremely grateful. All right, that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one.